dance for joy or lust or anger.
Welcome to Sensible Secondhand Classics, the series where we normally look at sensible, practical cars that are over 15 years old, but you can buy between a budget of £1,000 and £5,000. In this instance, this car's worth a bit more than that. You can buy an MGB for a budget of between £1,000 and £5,000. In fact, I found several examples when I was looking last night. This one though is a bit more, so I'm afraid, viewers, in the words of Mr. Matt Goodwin from High Peak Autos, I've massively overspent. So the MGB GT V8 first started life really as a conversion done by a gentleman by the name of Ken Costello, who was into modifying a lot of the old BMC and later British Leyland cars. Obviously the Rover V8 engine that's in this one started life with Buick in General Motors in the early 60s, and then was used in cars like the Rover P5B and the 3.5 litre Rover P6 3500. Its application in the MGB develops 137 horsepower. So with the normal MGB developing something like 95 horsepower for most of its run, it did vary through the production run of 18 years from 62 to 1980. This engine, which weighs 20 kilograms less than the standard 4-cylinder V series, was a bit of a welcome improvement. 0 to 60 in this car is about 7.7 seconds, and the top speed is 125 miles an hour if the car was standard. This car is not standard. Well, I'll go over a bit later all the work that's actually happened on this particular car, but it now develops something insane like 270 horsepower, which is just utterly mad. Very grateful to have been lent this car by Jim and Catherine, who are viewers of the channel, have a huge collection of lovely old classics. This is just the first of many that I've been able to have a go in. Over the next sort of weeks and months we'll have a go at some more of theirs. This is the sort of, shall we say, like most normal one of the cars that they have, and it's not normal at all to me. Speedo, I don't actually know how accurate it is, so I'm being a little bit careful. Suspension's got the good old leaf spring in the back. It actually continued through to the MGR V8 of 1992, which was basically a modified MGB V8 really, although it had a 3.9 litre engine. The RV8 is an interesting car really, because it came about due to demand for something for the Rover Group to make. I think Japan was the biggest market for those, and they took the heritage body shells that you could get on the MGBs that were released from about 1989 onwards, and they decided to make some changes to the style of the car, although the boot lid and the doors are exactly the same as an MGB. And they decided that they would restart the front of it and give it some more power. Now, it doesn't have as much power as this thing, with 270 horsepower. It has about 190 horsepower, but it's still got the rear leaf springs in them, and they still have the rear drum brakes in them. This car actually has all-round disc brakes to cope with this extra power, which is reassuring, because I really wouldn't want to damage a car like this. I don't know exactly how much this is even worth. I can't find an MGB GT V8 for less than about £20,000. This one, with all the modifications it's had, I think is worth considerably more than that. not the best example I've seen cosmetically, but it's a nice thing to drive around. Driving position isn't the best, I think. It might be to do with this seat. The GT version of the MGB, the seats are tiny in the back. They are more suitable for children. In fact, one of my friends when I was at primary school used to come to school in an MGB GT. Wasn't a V8, of course. Strangely enough, when the car was launched in '73, they didn't want to actually export it to America. They decided they wouldn't do that. The regular P6 had actually gone out of production for the American market in '71, and it was only when the SD1 appeared briefly in the American market in 1980 that the 3.5 litre V8 actually went over there. They did it, sent 7 left-hand drive MGB GT V8s over to America for some kind of testing purposes, but they then brought them back and sell them on the continent for left-hand drive. All the other ones of these are right-hand drive. The sales weren't massive. In fact, the sales were so poor that they decided to put the wheels that were exclusive to the V8 models on what's called the MGB Jubilee. Obviously, launching in '73 at the height of the energy crisis was probably not the best move that British had ever done in terms of marketing, but there are many other things probably worse that they've done over the course of time. And these only lasted until 1976. So there are some rubber bumper MGB GT V8s out there. The car was never made in roadster form. All the roadsters you see with V8 engines have been converted later, and obviously they're worth less money.
What an absolute delight, viewers. Now, those of you who are observant will notice we've got this amazing kind of scoop, I think you call it, in the bonnet. The bonnet's actually fiberglass on this car, and that's to accommodate the enormous air filter that this car has, which it wouldn't have had originally. Also, we've not got original wheels on this. We've got some other alloy wheels, which look pretty period actually. Early example of this, 1973. And yes, in this nice colour. The boot is propped up because, believe it or not, the catch has been sort of removed because they tend to rattle, and Jim, being an engineer, has actually put a different system in here. You can see kind of there that it's actually got a way that you can ratchet it up and keep it from rattling. So we've propped it open. There's not actually that much space here anyway as it is. So most of the luggage would have gone on the top. I will probably in a second try to actually take that prop off and keep filming. But we'll just leave it like that for now. Reversing lights, no fog lights. You didn't need those for 1981, so no fog lights. And I think for sort of about the last year you could have these silver on black plates as well. Rubber overriders, little exhaust down there. Looks very different from 1981 Roadster I filmed. One thing you'll see straight away is that the rear seats are, well, not very commodious. It's a bit like that E-Type 2+2 I drove 4 years ago, and the MGB GT was referred to by many people as the poor man's E-Type. So we'll get in. And we'll notice one of my pet hates in cars immediately, the fixed seatbelt. Yeah, I tolerate such things as opposed to actually liking them. So different steering wheel in this as well. Also, this car has a fan you've got to put on manually, electric fan, which I was actually using all of the time I was driving it. Now, you can get in the back, but there's no point. There's no leg room in there anyway, so I'm not going to do that today. Choke is on here. There's the overdrive, which I we'll be using a little bit later on. We've got the earlier instruments in this as opposed to the later sort of 80 cars would have had a completely different dash. In fact, they do, because the one I drove last summer, different dash entirely, more sort of BL stuff in that one. Come on the other side, actually, it might be a bit easier to sort of see. But, you know, it's not cosmetically perfect, this car. It's very good, actually. It's not cosmetically perfect, though. So if you were looking for sort of bits, we'll see that it's not, but I like it. Like this interior as well. We've got a glove box there. Though we'll maybe leave that for a little bit. There are the heated ventilation controls, reheated window, wiper. Washer is down on the right hand side, the left hand side down there actually, that's the electric fan. Got I think a 1980s stereo in this where the cassette goes the way around. We have got some vents in here as well. This isn't the original dashboard that would have come with in 62. Lights are on there, and we've got a temperature gauge which actually is good for knowing when you need to put the electric fan on. The blower is just there. The interior light is down there. Got this really weird sort of sun visor thing here, which is fascinating. I had to put it in a certain position when I was driving, otherwise it would rattle. But yeah, you know, not the most comfortable seats I think I've ever sat in, but it's okay. In order to adjust the seat, it does require quite a lot of dexterity to do that. Fortunately, Jim did that for me. Ashtray just down here. Cigarette lighter is in there. And then some storage area, just like in a modern car. But yeah, I'm not getting in there, am I, viewers? I'm not going to try. Fix seat belts. Oh God, look at this. This is the way you close the door using one of those. And oh yes, the same interior door handles as on the Mark II Austin 1800 I drove in 2022. We went all the way through, I think, to the LDV vans of the 90s, even 2000s using those, which is just absolutely amazing. Basto sunroof, I think, in this, which is great. Right, I'm going to try something now to show you what was actually underneath this boot floor. We're going to have to remove that prop, and I'm going to have to use that for the bonnet as well. Yeah, spares sort of under there. You can just about see it. But apart from that, yeah, there's not an awful lot to say really. This is your luggage area, and I'll see if I can ease this down with one hand, nice and gently. There we go. Right, we better take a look into the bonnet as well whilst we're here. So we've still got the fans going in here at the moment. So it's actually a 4.6 litre engine in this. It's offered a Range Rover. The block has been bored, instructed for a new crank, new conrods and pistons, balanced hemispherical head, larger valves, John Piper Fast Road cam, big high flow oil pump, lightened and balanced flywheel, new timing chains, new e-ignition, John Wolf Racing inlet manifold, Edelbrock 750 CFM quad carb. That's why we need a different bonnet on this. Oil catch can RV8 tubular manifolds, which you can just see down there. Strengthened sills and cross member, 2 anti-roll bars. Yeah, it's quite stiff actually. It's a lot stiffer than the last MGB I drove. Anti-tramp bars, all poly, bush telescopic shocks, Wilbur vented discs, rear frontline discs, frontline 3.2 brakes over compensator. Yeah, the brakes are very good on this car. And they're on Wolf Race wheels. Jim has had this car since 1988, which is absolutely amazing. That's over 35 years. So there we go. It's a lot tighter in here than it would be on a B series engine, and you can make a lot of improvements. They're such tunable engines, it's unbelievable. The gearbox is a little bit different from standard as well in this. Amazingly, they actually use a standard the same gearbox as a 4-cylinder B series, because I think that was uprated for when the MGC came out in 1967. I think it was uprated a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I've heard that actually it's not as easy to work on these as a 4-cylinder, but that's really a bit self-explanatory. For something a bit more modern, it doesn't look too bad, but the noise and the sort of fun you get out of this is something else entirely. Right, I suppose I better take it out for another drive, viewers, and try not to mash the gears again.
Biggest problem really for me and anyone else who's used to driving more modern cars is that first and second are where the gearbox is actually biased, and on all more modern cars I've driven, the gearbox is biased around third and fourth. I understand why we've done that, because we've got overdrive, and I'll put the overdrive on. So we're just burbling on 30 miles an hour in fourth overdrive. I mean, we've got a very long-legged car here, but you don't necessarily need any more gears. So we've got third overdrive here, and that's good as well. We've got servo-assisted brakes, which is good. I hear the brakes on non-servo-assisted MGBs are not the best. And we've got an old synchromesh gearbox in here, which for an absolute idiot like me is the best, really. I have driven cars with non-synchromesh gearboxes on first, and I find them an absolute utter pain. Really giving me, you know, even more sort of issues to deal with when driving a car is not a good idea. Many of you will be far more skillful drivers than me. Many of you will think that I do not know what I'm doing, and I have driven older cars like this before. The worst one actually was not this, it was a Rover P4 from 1961, which is actually even more difficult to drive than this is. But yeah, this is okay. Once you get used to these gears, it's actually okay. You can pull away in second gear, you can pull away in third gear. It doesn't particularly matter. So I'm gonna just gonna drive in second now. That solves the problem. See if that car will stop for me. Yes, it will. I know I've got the servo brakes, but I haven't got anything like, you know, stopping power of more modern cars. Although I don't have the weight. I mean, this car doesn't weigh an awful lot. It's got 270 horsepower and about a boatload of torque, and so you don't really need to worry too much necessarily about changing down to first all the time. I should have reminded myself about that earlier on before I you know, comprehensively ruined the gearbox. That would have been a better idea, but I am an utter and complete idiot, and you don't need to write about a comment section because I've already said it, and that's just the way that it goes on this channel. So viewers, the MGB GT V8, not particularly sensible second-hand classic in a way, a bit of a monster to be honest, but that's the way that people like them, I suppose. The standard one I found an awful lot easier to drive than this one. They have actually got a different gearbox in them. That's probably why I was having a bit less trouble with that one than this one. But there we go. This is a car that you should consider for whatever they cost, or should you just consider a normal MGB for under £5,000? It depends on your point of view. Like, the cars are completely different to drive, very, very different. Particularly this one that's been uprated with the different brakes and you know, the more powerful engine and all the other things that have actually happened on this. You know, if you own a car for as long as Jim has had this one, then you know you can make it your own, and that's what he's done. I think it's one of these situations, a bit like the Jaguar E-Type that I drove 4 years ago. I kind of respect the car, and I'm glad I've driven one an awful lot more than I think I want to go out and actually buy one. A four-cylinder one of these will just do me fine, but for all of you, you want the ultimate experience that an MGB can offer you, and this is about as good as it gets. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again soon for probably a little bit more sensible classic motoring.